Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, a lot of big breaking news. Graham Platner, the candidate from Maine on the Democratic side with the big primary next Tuesday. Well, he was on Capitol Hill. And he just said in the last few hours, there may be more shoes to drop. There may be more things coming out. Well, boy, was he right. Just in the last few hours, he has finally answered a few questions, but I don't think anybody's buying his answers. I certainly am not. He admits, he says, to sexting women almost immediately after he got married. How lovely. He says, though, all of these allegations that maybe he was manhandling and physical with at least one former girlfriend, he says that's all politically motivated. And he also says, I can't believe this. He said, I am sure the people that he was sexting and that he was on this app with, that he still is, by the way, on that app to this day, at least he was as of yesterday, that he said, I'm sure that they're not minors. So I guess he's been in contact and vetted each one of them. And then we have to just trust his judgment. Trust him. Trust him. Boy, do the Democrats have a problem with this guy. And I don't buy anything. I was looking at him tonight. I was looking at his face. I was saying, is that an honest reaction? It did not seem sincere to me. It looks like a guy who knows that there is more coming out. And now his former flames are speaking. Here's a little bit first. This is a Fox News report teeing up what was in the New York Times.
From the New York Times, a report that several women who dated Graham Platner recalled unsettling behavior. Quote, in extensive conversations over the past 2 months, 3 other women who had been romantically involved with Mr. Platner offered a far more complicated assessment describing volatile and toxic relationships that were unsettling at times, emotionally wrenching. Mr. Platner could be charming and charismatic, but also demeaning to women, and in at least one case, even physically threatening. He drank heavily and was regularly unfaithful. Joining me now is Fox and Friends weekend co-host Rachel Campos Duffy. Okay, Rachel, they were worried about this yesterday. Now this just now comes out from the New York Times. It does feel a bit like after months of reporting, the Times has tried to dial it back. Like, you know, okay, he was a pretty bad boyfriend. But there's one of these women that is at least accusing him of being physically intimidating, potentially abusive.
Yeah, you're right on, Will Kane, because the New York Times reports it as unsettling behavior. It's a lot more than unsettling. I agree with Will Kane there on Fox News. And in fact, this former girlfriend, Lindsay Fifield, says that Graham Platner grabbed her by the shoulders regularly, hard enough to often leave marks. She says that at one point he was twisting her arm behind her back. He shoved her into a bedroom and he held the door closed so she could not leave. It sounds like pretty abusive physical behavior. This is well beyond just having fun. And the fact that also another girlfriend is coming forward saying he knew darn well what that Nazi tattoo was. He used to say, that's my Totenkopf. Very proud of it. It was on his body for 18 years. It's still on his body. It's just covered. So this is, I don't buy it. And it just shows that the Democrats are digging a deeper and deeper hole with this guy. Boy, oh boy. By the way, on other news, President Trump is going to be going to Madison Square Garden. He says he's coming in Monday night for the big Knicks game. This will be game 3 of the NBA playoffs. How cool is that? President Trump will be the first sitting president to actually attend an NBA game. I love that. I think that's awesome. He's a big fan of the Knicks. He's a big fan of James Dolan, who, of course, owns Madison Square Garden. And that scene is going to be wild. You know the scene when you see him walk into like a UFC fight and you see all the whole scene and the smoke and the this and the that. I can't wait to see what happens at MSG. That's going to be a great one. And bravo to him for going. Meantime, no bravo for Graham Platner, that is for sure, who spoke just a little bit ago. Of course, he went to MS Now. No surprise. I would love 5 minutes with this guy. Give me actually 3 minutes. And I think he'd be like shifting left and right. But here he is on MS Now. And they asked him about these allegations, and listen to the hogwash he's trying to sell the American public, especially the voters of Maine.
Grappled with how to process her experiences. She was quick to note he never hit me, he never punched me. She said he regularly grabbed her by the shoulders, sometimes hard enough to leave marks. On one occasion, yanked her out of a cab by her wrist after an argument in which she wanted to stay in the car. During one argument, she recalled he twisted her arm behind her back, shoved her into a bedroom, and held the door closed from the other side so she couldn't get out, telling her to remain there until she was calm. Eventually, Ms. Fifield said she fell asleep and left the next morning. It hurt, she said, but she added, it didn't cause any injury. It didn't break my arm. Did that happen?
No, it did not. There are some allegations in this piece that I just want to be kind of unequivocal about are simply not true. Anything alleging physicality, anything alleging that I knew what my tattoo was, these are the statements of someone who's politically motivated. In this piece, there's a lot about my struggling, not being a good boyfriend, certainly self-medicating with alcohol, and I've been very upfront since the beginning of this campaign that was a pretty dark period of my life after I came back from my combat service, and that's what that kind of life looks like. And so there are things in this that I absolutely will take responsibility for and have been speaking about openly for months now. But those serious allegations are just not true.
You did not grab her by the wrist. You did not put your hands on her shoulders. You did not push her into a room that you closed the door on. She's lying about that, is what you're saying.
Yes, that is not true.
Yes, that is not true. I have been coached in the last 24 hours. Yes. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. And then he comes forward and says that I've been forthright and honest. He's only been forthright and honest because all this dirt is coming out on him. And there's a lot more to come. This is probably just the beginning. He hasn't even won the primary yet. The primary's on Tuesday night. Can you imagine when it's going to be like when the Republicans get the chance for opposition research against this guy? And I don't see this guy really leaving. It's interesting. Earlier on Katz and Cosby, John and I were talking with Joe Gruters. He's head of the RNC. Joe doesn't think he's going to be leaving either. He thinks the guy's too arrogant. He was essentially saying, I don't see this guy voluntarily dropping out because under Maine law, what you could do is if you win the primary, you're going forward, you could still voluntarily drop out after 2 weeks. You have a 2-week window. And then they can put somebody else in. It's a little bit like the, quote, Kamala Harris trick that we saw in the White House. But this guy seems so self-absorbed and arrogant and sort of full of himself. And also, quite frankly, I don't really see that many Democrats pushing him out. And that's a very sad testament on America, too. But here is Graham Platner. Listen to this. Because he elaborated a little more. This is tonight, just a little bit ago, you guys. First time he's responded. So it's interesting to hear it in his own words. He was asked about these sexually explicit messages. Now, remember, he was sexting, sending messages and probably pictures to strangers, strange women who he claims he's sure they're not underage. But listen to this because he goes into great detail saying, I just had a little bit of a bumpy marriage. Everything's fine.
I want to talk about the piece that came out before this, which was about what your wife had alerted your internal campaign folks to. And just to sort of stipulate, to get out ahead, that, like, I think some people view this as a real betrayal by your former campaign manager, and that may be true, and I understand. And I also watched the video that your wife put out, which I found incredibly compelling and moving, about what you've worked through. But just to be clear again on the details here, and there's obviously two subtexts here, right? This is you facing Maine voters at a primary and also a general election that's going to happen. We all know that, right? We're all on the same page. were you sending sexually explicit messages to other women back in 2023, 2024, as reported in the piece?
So this is the first time in my life that Amy and I's marriage has been the interest of people besides Amy and I.
Yes.
And it's definitely a bit jarring, a bit strange.
Yeah.
It's also a marriage that is very strong and that I do believe we deserve some privacy in. I will just say this. At the beginning of our marriage, I made mistakes, and Amy held me accountable for them, and we worked through them, and the work that we did made our marriage significantly stronger. And who we are today is an incredibly faithful and happy married couple. Amy is my best friend. I love her more than anything else. And quite honestly, the hardest part about this whole campaign is I don't get to spend as much time with her as I like to. And so it has been it's been a hard experience to have gone through this together as a couple long before our lives were brought out into the public. And then to have it essentially outed by someone that we put our trust in, who then turned around and betrayed Amy's trust, and has now turned, frankly, our private parts of our marriage into a bit of a public political spectacle. It's hard, but it's our marriage. And it's a good marriage, and we're very happy in it, and very happy with each other. And I thank my lucky stars every single day that Amy is my wife, and that she has given me a lot of grace and a lot of love over the years, and I'm a lucky man for it.
I don't even know what to say with that. I mean, there are so many problems I have with that. He's blaming the campaign manager for betraying him, as opposed to his betrayal of the Maine voters. Because I think you make a pact when you run for office that you should be upstanding, that you should be somebody who is above reproach, somebody who can't be blackmailed, somebody who has an honorable past, and someone who should be a role model that young kids can look up to. So far, I haven't heard anything that he has gone through that's admirable. And that's sad. I will say his military service. I'll always honor a veteran. But the way he has besmirched other veterans is despicable. The way he's besmirched cops is despicable. The way he's besmirched women is despicable. Gays, blacks, he's besmirched them. This guy has no soul. And then for him to say, I made mistakes and my wife held me accountable. How'd she hold him accountable? When were the divorce papers filed? Can you imagine? You just marry a guy and now he has sent out all these sexting messages. She was obviously worried about it because he clearly, it was probably a lot more than this. And maybe she was worried all the people that received those racy sex messages from her new husband, maybe pictures too, that maybe they were going to come forward. It wasn't some like fly by night. I mean, this is really troubling. So troubling. And there's no self-awareness. There's no self-evaluation. He's blaming the campaign manager. So obviously, A, we know this is true. We always thought it was true. He validated that it's true tonight. And then he said, we made mistakes. We've worked through it. I'm sorry. I'm going to say one thing. I'm not involved in their marriage, but Amy Platner, get a divorce and run quick. Move in with your mother. Move in with somebody else. This guy is bad news. This guy, clearly, he's got a history, according to his ex-girlfriends, of being abusive. He's got a history, as you know firsthand, sexting with strangers. And who knows if they're underage girls. He claims they're not. Not that he would know. What, did he ask for IDs? And did he vet them, do background checks? I'm sure he did while he was in his towel. I'm sure he had time to do all that vetting. What is she doing with this guy? He's clearly pleading with her to stay with him. She looked like she was in a hostage video the other day when she said, I love my husband and, you know, their mistakes or whatever. I love my husband. And is that the right answer, honey? Is that the right answer? Get a divorce. Get a divorce and do us a favor, Graham Platner. Drop out of the race for America's sake. You are not worthy of being in Congress. You are not worthy of being a U.S. Senator. You are far from what a political person should be. 1-800-848-9222. And I'll take your calls when we come back.
Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit dyingdollar.com to request your free gold and silver guide. That's dyingdollar.com.
The Rita Cosby Show, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So Graham Platner in hot water, guys. There is no doubt about it. You heard how I feel. What do you make of his, I think, pathetic responses tonight? And obviously, the reason everybody's talking about Maine, not only is this one of the craziest candidates I've ever seen, in addition to that, there's a lot of stakes on the line because this is Maine, which is a very pivotal seat. And right now, it's in Republican hands, and the Democrats want to try to flip the seat. And Susan Collins always usually has a pretty tough race. She's the Republican, but she's a moderate, and people love her in Maine, and she always pulls it out. She always wins. She usually sometimes is down in the polls, and yet she wins. And some of the new polls are showing clearly that these problems with Graham Platner in the last few days are affecting the polls, and he is dropping in the polls. Clearly, this is going to be a problem, not just for him and his marriage, but a problem also for the Democratic Party if they had any hopes of taking that seat there in Maine. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Dom in Minnesota, line 5. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, Rita, I'm guessing Graham Platner will be swallowized in short order. Eric swallowized.
I love that verb. That's a good verb. You know what? He's making Swalwell look like a priest.
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, he is, right. He's like the king of swallowizing, right? I mean, Dom, You can't make it up. It's like every day. And I'm just going to say this about people I think that are there sexting strangers on an app while he's married. And you even look at his profile picture on this Kick app, and he's in a towel. I mean, let's just be honest. He's clearly trying to showcase himself. That's a nice way to put it. And that kind of behavior, if you're sending stuff to strangers, you don't know who they are, you're reaching out, you're married, you're newly married, by the way, and the wife, I'm sure, is probably a lovely woman. I bet you it's all over the place. My prediction, there's going to be dozens and dozens of women that are going to come out of the woodwork who say, hey, look at the message I got from, quote, P. Hustle. That's his name. It's like P. Hustle 0331. It's really Graham Platner and marry Graham Platner. Dom, stick with us. We're going to continue after the break, and I want to hear more from you.
The Rita Cosby Show, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from beautiful Aurora, Colorado, where a police officer safely rescued a woman after she unknowingly drove into deep floodwaters on her routine commute to work. Now, the officer quickly waded through thigh-high floodwaters when he got the call, and he went there and trudged through a thick layer of slush to rescue the stranded woman. The scene almost looks like the officers caught on body cam footage. They look like human icebreakers as there was hail on the water. Get this, with very thick layers of hail as they were breaking up as he was moving toward the woman in the car. Again, it is in Colorado. Now, once the officer reached her car, he then opened the car door as the water came pouring in. You can hear the woman repeat the phrase, oh my God, thank you. The hail, by the way, is seen covering the woman's car as the officer reaches in, carries her out of the car and through the floodwaters to safety. All along the way, reassuring her that she is in good stead. He also carries her then through the floodwaters back to safe ground. He then, in fact, by the way, that's not enough. The officer then gave her a ride home. Both she and the officer, no injuries, amazingly. And the the police department there in Aurora says this incident serves as a very powerful reminder of how unpredictable and dangerous floodwaters can be. And of course, thanks to our great men and women in blue. Well, everybody is talking about Graham Platner tonight. Several of his exes are saying he had very, quote, what the New York Times is describing as unsettling behavior. I call it divorce-worthy behavior, and not just a divorce from his wife, from the voters there in Maine. I'm going to play a little bit. I'm going to go back to Dom in a second. But first, here's a little more of Graham Platner, because he's asked if he knew the ages of the women that he just was sort of randomly sexting. Listen to this.
Want to give some privacy in marriage, but I really do feel like I need to get these answers from you, which is like the people you were texting with, whatever that was, in whatever context they were adult women, you knew that, and it was consensual. Is that true?
Yes.
And you have that you confirmed that. You knew their age.
Yes. Oh, God. I mean, yeah. Yes, of course.
I want to play something for you.
Yeah. How did you know? Did you ask for an ID? Did you go over to their house to verify it? Remember, he's married, but he's so sure of their age. That's a little odd. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I simply do not buy it. I don't buy anything that this guy says. Not a thing. I think he's a cold stone liar. That's my impression. That's my opinion. And I think that's the opinion, of a lot of people also in Maine right now. Now, I want to play this. This is cut number 3. This is Graham Platner. He, remember, has said, I didn't know what that tattoo was on my body. That's of a concentration camp, the worst kind of Nazi symbol. And he said, I have no idea, even though it was there for 18 years, and he just covered it up recently because it's politically damaging to him. I don't buy that either. So listen, here is Graham Platner, all right? And this is what he says about the tattoo, because one of these exes is coming out and saying that he used to say, that's my Totenkopf tattoo, the concentration camp tattoo. Isn't it cool? Isn't it great? Take a look at it. I'm sorry, I believe her, not him, but listen to him.
I want to talk about that because I think this was troubling to a lot of people, and I think, again, your account of it assuaged some of that fear, clearly in Maine voters, as reflected, again, by reporting and polling. She says, same person, that you referred to the tattoo as my Totenkopf, which is the German word for this particular Nazi symbol. There's other reporting in Jewish Insider in October in which an anonymous acquaintance says you used that same phrase. Did you know what this tattoo was about before last October when you said you first became aware of it?
No, I did not. And I also think it's important to note that it's very likely, and I think that she is that same source. She's the person who's been telling people this from the beginning. And so I feel like, we're kind of rehashing the thing we've been through. I had that tattoo for 17 years. It's a skull and crossbones. I got it with other Marines who I served with in Iraq, in Croatia. And in the time that I had it, I got a security clearance with the State Department. I re-enlisted in the United States Army, where I was screened for gang and hate tattoos. And I took my shirt off in front of my family, many of whom are Jewish. We even released as a campaign a video, which you're putting up on the screen right now, of me dancing at my brother's wedding to his wife, who is Jewish, and her fully extended Jewish family. And I would not have taken my shirt off in that context if I had known. And so any statement saying that I did know is again, totally false.
I think he took his shirt off in front of a lot of people, not just at that wedding. This is unbelievable. What, he had no idea? He just got some cool design, and he happened to have it on there for 17 years. And then there are reports that he was praising the German military design and used to always talk about the German military and their hardware, the helmets, the this, the that. None of this is believable. Absolutely none of this is believable to me. And by the way, Chris Hayes, that's the guy who's doing that interview at MS Now. Terrible. Oh, you put a lot of people to rest by your answers. Are you kidding me? And then he also said, wasn't it a betrayal by your campaign manager? I mean, this guy's like feeding him lines. He might as well work on the campaign for Graham Platner. Leave your job at MS Now and become a campaign manager for Graham Platner, because that's what that interview is worth. Let's go back to Dom on line 5. Dom, you can tell I'm fired up tonight because this is a new low, I think, in politics.
Yeah, Rita, Democrats like Bernie Sanders, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Chucky Schumer will not support oligarchs. We know that, unless they are called Tom Steyer. They will not support quote-unquote Nazis unless they're called Graham Platner. They will not support anti-Semites unless they're called Zohran Mamdani. And they will not support the American people unless they have extra letters attached to their names. They are non-binary or have entered the country illegally from Cucamonga.
You know what? The hypocrisy is ripe, Dom. And you hit some great points. You always have some good lines. I love it. You make me laugh. But it's so crazy. And you're right. They hate Nazis, but now they got a guy wearing a Nazi tattoo and they're okay with it. I mean, that's the scary thing, Dom, is like they are willing to turn a blind eye because they are so desperate for power that they're like, oh, well, this guy, it must be, there must be something wrong with it all. This can't be correct. This is not right. And in fact, they are like dodging and weaving, Dom. I mean, this is the thing. Listen to this. This is Senator Chris Coons, a good buddy, very close buddy of Joe Biden. And here's what he had to say when they tried to approach him today. And he was asked, what do you think of Graham Platner? Like, should he go? And listen to his sort of, I feel so bad for the guy, essentially.
And, frankly, Mr. Platner is a four-tour combat veteran and someone whose conduct as he came home from war, many have questioned. I don't know him and don't know him at all well, but I'm going to give him a measure of grace and wait until I get a chance to hear more about the details of all these different allegations. In my view, the folks who we have here in the Senate and who we might have here in the Senate, we should hold a high standards.
Yeah, we should hold a high standard. You've heard enough to pretend like I haven't heard anything or I don't really know. Just look at one headline. That should send chills down your spine. And
so can I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
about,
please.
A little bit about your show. You're fantastic. I like to listen to you every day. But I would, when you watch these young kids, 20s, 30s, and 40s, being asked simple questions about like what's a Nazi tattoo, they have absolutely no idea what we are talking about. They don't even know who Graham Platner is or some guy who's running. So would you be able to kind of mix and match so that you attract some younger audiences to this thing? There's no way they're being spoon-fed like crazy, and they don't know what the hell they're voting for.
And you know what? You bring up a very good point, because I wondered so much. And by the way, we always try to put it out on social media too as well, because that's a big way. Yeah. Because you know what I think about, Dom? During the campaign, Mamdani, so much of his campaign was on social media. And a lot of the people were asked, hey, what do you think about his anti-Israeli comments? What do you mean? Like, we were out there left and right. And if you had alternate sources of news, you would see it. But maybe a lot of times if you were looking on CNN, you might not realize some of the comments. Well, and even tonight, it's like, listen, what did you make of that MS Now guy? I mean, if you watch MS Now, you think, oh, he's not so bad.
Well, that MS Now guy did a random act of journalism asking Graham Platner all those questions. I was surprised that he even asked him that.
Yeah, but but did you notice he conditioned it? because it was like,
it
was like, I'm sure you feel betrayed by your campaign manager. It's so horrible, essentially, what she did. So, Graham, tell us what she did. I'm sure, you assuaged people. You brought comfort when you spoke out. So just share it with us again, please. Come on.
I think that's because his boss is whispering in his ear saying, hey, watch it or you lose your job.
Yeah, or maybe he's a true believer who thinks that Graham Platner isn't so bad. Maybe he's like some of these other people, like Chris Coons, who seems to make excuses, right, Dom?
Yeah, actually, I had a student from Germany last year that we sponsored for a whole year to go to high school. She tells me that we talked about Nazis and stuff. She says she was uncomfortable talking about it. She says every single German citizen knows about what happened. They're still today ashamed of it. That's not the case here. We don't know. Our youngsters don't know what the hell's going on with these people. So the miseducation of America is what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I agree. And they are a lot of the people who are lured, especially on the Mamdani case. And I'd love to see sort of the breakdowns of those that are supporting Graham Platner. And I think, listen, I really do believe this is going to be a very pivotal test because the primary's on Tuesday, Dom. There are other people in the race. Yeah. And Janet Mills, who, quote, dropped out, but she is still listed on the ballot. So, Maine voters have a choice. And if they don't want to vote for a Republican, they have a choice for a Democrat. I'll be very curious to see what the results are on Tuesday night. If this guy gets in, Dom, I'm going to need some more limericks and some more laughs from you, okay? Because it's going to be painful.
I will do that.
Dom, thank you very, very much. Always great to hear from you. And we were talking about Chris Coons, that he said that he's going to give Graham Platner a measure of grace. Isn't that beautiful? Well, it gets better because tomorrow, Ro Khanna is doing a rally, supposedly, with Graham Platner. Ro Khanna is the Democratic member of Congress. And I guess not only does he not have a problem with him, he still thinks that Graham Platner is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And that's scary. Listen to Congressman Ro Khanna from the crazy state of California.
The Nazi tattoo was something that he owned up to. He said it was a mistake. He did it when he was signing up to serve this country in the military. And I guess I have a view of redemption. And he has unequivocally owned up to it, said that it was wrong, that he learned from it. And the question is, are we going to believe in redemption and people being flawed and then having a chance to move on?
It's a lot more than flawed. It's like, flawed on steroids. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Mike in South Carolina. Line 1. Go ahead, Mike.
Hello, Rita.
Hey,
Always
Mike,
good.
we miss you. How are you?
Good. And that's a great call up from where Tampon Tim is from.
Yes. Oh, my God. I love Dom. Dom is the best from Minnesota, and as are you from beautiful South Carolina.
South Kakalaki. It's it. Rita, so many things to talk about. I'll make it. I try to get to the point. Some people will linger on. Well, many people, the far left Democratic psychos are still there, and they're creeping their heads up above the ground. Crockett, Maxine Waters, Pelosi, even Letitia James. Enough is enough. And especially, I want to say Mamdani. I've said it a couple of weeks ago. I knew 5 people, Rita, and you knew a person who died 9/11 on a plane.
Yes.
5 people who died 9/11. 3 weeks later, I volunteered in the city. A day I'll never forget, the people I met. And Mamdani, don't even think about showing your face around the 25th anniversary because you don't belong there. Okay, you're a far left socialist, so to speak, and many other things. But enough. And I'll never forget, Rita, the day 9/11 happened. Somebody from that region of the world. What do? They light up 2 American flags and, outrageous, man. It's just sometimes history repeats itself, Rita.
You bring up, by the way, Mike, you bring up the 25th anniversary, and you're right. It's going to be in September, and it's going to be kind of extremely awkward. And given all the things that we have seen from Mamdani since, this time, not just even in the election time, and since he's been elected, the fact he wouldn't march in the parade, the fact his father seems to be making excuses for suicide bombers. There's so many of these things that I just sit there and go, is this real? And then you got this guy here, and then you've got this Hamawy. That's the guy in New Jersey. And we were talking about him last night. That guy's crazy. And we also, by the way, Hamawy, guys, was at the Newark ICE facility. You can't make it up. We'll play a little bit of that. You might as well mix the Newark ICE facility craziness with a guy who was friends with a convicted terrorist. That's really lovely. What could go wrong there? But I think it's going to be very awkward, Mike, don't you, when it comes?
I think so.
And it's all connected, by the way. It's all these sort of Democratic Socialists. And I think, I don't know if you know this, Mike, but because it hasn't been like super out there, but the guy who's basically the mastermind or the brainchild of the Mamdani campaign is the brainchild for Graham Platner. You can't, wake up. There's a big machine there behind it, big money behind it. And they'll do anything to win. So that's
almost like
this is dangerous.
I worked around the third rail, 7 years city transit in Metro North. But it's a third rail of violence now. It's walking all over the country.
It is. And it's very, very concerning, Mike. Very, very concerning. And that's why everybody has to wake up and be aware of it. And that's why even Democrats need to say, no, not in our party. This is not our values, not American values. Mike, thank you very, very much. 1-800-848-9222. And everybody will continue right after the break. And in the next hour, we're going to talk about the Newark ICE facility as well as Graham Platner and a lot more. Because all the roads kind of intertwine, and you got this Dr. Hamawy, the one who's close to the terrorists, the convicted terrorists, remember? He was hanging out with them at least for a few years. And now, guess what? He shows up at the Newark ICE facility. This guy just has really a set of cojones. How's that? 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey, line 4. Go ahead, Sandra.
Hi, Rita. I was thinking about both Hamawy and Graham Platner. So for him, his wife, I thought about Amy. One, either she's like Jill Biden. She doesn't care. She wants to be famous. And if this is the way she's going to get her name out there, being with this fisherman who really should go back to fishing.
Oyster, by the way, he's an oyster farmer. And so far, according to a lot of media reports, the only customer is his mother. Like his mother owns some location where she buys the oysters. So it sounds like big business there, right?
Can I have more to say, Rita?
Yeah, go ahead. What else? Real quick, Sandra.
Well, I had an idea for Adam Hamawy, a job for him, a nice assignment, but I need time. All right, hold on. I'll
let you. You gave a good tease there, Sandra. We'll find out what Sandra thinks Adam Hamawy should do. I think I know where he should go.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball.
This week, come out to the ballpark as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars at Staten Island University Hospital Community Park for a homestand on June 10th. For a 5-game series as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Individual game tickets start at just $12.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.